Good evening, ladies as well as gentlemen. Papa Boris is back for some more Hearthstone arena action. My last two runs were with Paladin and Rogue, so cross your fingers, blow into your hands, and rub them together for good luck. And pray that I get lots and lots of fiery war axes, because otherwise I don't know how I'm going to win this thing. Let's do it. Alright, we're starting off with an epic, and this is a decent one actually. So Shield Slam is 1 mana, and it can potentially deal a lot of damage. So at the very least, you can armor up, and then place Shield Slam for 2 damage to a minion. And if you have other cards, Shield Block, or if you just, got to armor up a couple turns in a row, then it can do even more than that. So it is kind of removal. However, I'm actually going to take the Sea Giant. I mean, I know that removal is very, very good to have, but the Sea Giant is so huge and so good. I think it's worth more than a removal card, even though it's a very good one. Oh man, now I'm talking myself back out of it. Let me think. So Shield Slam is something that warriors really lack, which is an easy source of direct damage, but it's kind of speculative. I mean, if I don't get any shield blocks or armor smiths or anything like that, then this is basically just a 3 mana for 2 damage to a minion, because you have to first armor up, then Shield Slam. So yeah, I think 3 mana for 2 damage is sort of backwards. It should really be 2 mana for 3 damage. So 3 mana for 2 damage is kind of weak, and that's what it's going to be sometimes. So because it's speculative removal and not consistent, I'm going to grab the Sea Giant here. But if this had been some other, anything less than one of the best epics in the game, I would have grabbed the Shield Slam for sure. Aha. Well, the Arcanite Reaper is good, but I think the Arathi Weaponsmith wrecks a lot more days than the Reaper does, so we're going to take the creature and the weapon. Oh, Fiery War Axe. A bit sad that Shattered Sun Cleric is being passed, but Fiery War Axe. Thank goodness. Nice to see that early on. Okay, so here we have a bit of a tough call. The Dread Corsair is actually quite good with the Fiery War Axe. He only costs a single mana, and that's pretty good for a 3-3 with Taunt, but the Kor'kon Elite is just so amazing as a 4-3 charger. I'm going to take the Kor'kon Elite. I mean, it's sort of like removal, 4 mana, 4 damage, and it can be even better than that. Because of the 3 toughness, I mean, it will survive some impacts. So I'm going to take it, although the Dread Corsair is one that I'll be pretty happy to take if I can get it later on. Alright, Lord of the Arena I'm not a super big fan of, and I already have a big thing, so I'm not that concerned about getting big creatures that I'm going to take one I don't really like this early on. Raid Leader, sometimes I found the +1 attack buff does make all the difference, and it's nice to have, but I'm going to take Fairy Dragon. This thing is starting to annoy me more and more when I come up against it, and when you play Arena and you keep finding that a certain card is annoying you more and more and more, that's a good sign that maybe you should try it out. The thing is, when you play Fairy Dragon, you often don't realize how frustrating it is for your opponent, because as far as you can see, oh, it's just 3-2, it's just 3-2, and then it trades into some creature, GG. But you don't know if your opponent's sitting at the screen looking at her frost bolts or her backstab and raging. So I'm gonna grab this thing. I think it's important to have one of those. Okay, well these things I'm just not a big fan of, especially spell damage isn't that great for warriors. I mean, it's good with Cleave and Whirlwind, but that's about it. So we'll take the Frostwolf Warlord here to have another big dude. And here's a very tricky call. I mean, this is one of my favorite 5-drops in the game. This is actually one of my favorite cards in the game, period. But I do like this. It's a 3-drop. I don't have any at the moment. And the health is kind of nice. As a warrior, though, I feel less pressure to take health than, say, as a warlock, or really any class whose hero ability is something other than gain 2 life. So we're going to take the Tiger here. I do love that 5-drop a whole lot. Okay, here we have some janky beasts, and then a Silence. I'm going to grab the Silence here. I don't like that monkey at all. Aha! So, Cruel Taskmaster is an extremely good card, but we want to make sure we get some 3-drops, and Shattered Sun Cleric is really one of the best ones in the game, so I'm going to pick it up there, even though maybe in the abstract it's not as good. Master Swordsmith I've come to consider as just absolute total 100% trash. The Wild Pyromancer is interesting. However, I'm going to take the Cobra here because it's a 3-drop which I need, and it'll deal with anything. So it lets you clear the way out for some good things. Okay, so we can take a mediocre 3-drop, another mediocre 3-drop, or this thing. Now, I like this a lot, even though at the moment all I have is a Fiery War Axe and the Arathi Weaponsmith, and even so, it's just hard to enrage this thing and actually get it to work. I find that a 4-6 for 5 mana is just really great. So the question is, how many of these big drops do I want to be taking? This would already be my 4th creature at 5 mana. Well, I have to consider the fact that the creatures I have been taking are all at 5 mana. These aren't 6 or 7 drops. I mean, the Sea Giant might be, but these are 5 drops, so I can afford to load up. I mean, I feel more comfortable loading up 3 5-drops than, say, 3 7-drops. It is, I think, a good deal better than either of these cards. I have taken 2 3-drops somewhat aggressively, so I'm not, hurting for them at the moment. And if it happens to get enraged and make my Fiery War Axe or my Arathi Weaponsmith better in the game, then so be it. Okie doke. Well, I do like the Mogushan Warden. And I am still kind of passing on all the taunt I see, but Stormwind Champion, man, is just such a good card. It's hard not to take it. I'm just going to grab it. Let's make sure we get late game going here. Okay, so we could do Battle Rage, which I just really don't like. No Mission Mentor is nifty, but Heroic Strike is really the closest thing the warrior gets to like a good removal, so I'm just going to take it there. 4 damage for 2 mana is really great. So we have to choose between Cleave and Execute. Well, Execute will often let you work down something that's really, really large, and it's a very, very good card to have in a desperate situation. Cleave, though, in the early game can sometimes be an absolute ball breaker. I'm going to take Execute, though. I know a lot of people would take Cleave because it's a bit more consistent, but basically I find that big creatures almost always get damaged. Sometimes if you're really far behind, the opponent will just ignore your stuff and not even bother and just go straight for the throat, but most of the time big creatures get damaged. I find myself against warriors praying they don't have Execute way more often than I find myself praying they don't have Cleave, so I'm going to take the Execute here. Okay, the Stormwind Champion number 2, that's a bit greedy. We'll take a Cult Master for some card draw. We don't have that yet. Rampage I'm not a big fan of. I haven't really gotten that to work. Frostwolf Warlord's nice, but we already got one, and it's a bit greedy to take 2, because oftentimes it's just going to be a 4-4 or a 5-5 for 5 mana, so we'll take the more consistent Chillwind Yeti here. Charge, by the way, I don't really like very much. Okay, so here we have to choose very carefully. Once again, I can take a Spiteful Smith, but this might start to be a little bit greedy in the sense I'm being too greedy about taking big creatures, so I have to give serious consideration to the Raid Leader and the Taskmaster. So I've got 2 3-mana creatures at the moment. At 2 mana, I actually only have 1 creature, the Fairy Dragon. However, the Cruel Taskmaster doesn't really count as a 2-drop, because you're really not going to be playing it on turn 2 most of the time. The only exception is if your opponent plays like a 1 toughness creature of some sort, and then you can just kill it. Let's take the Raid Leader. I don't have that much Swarm or anything, and it's not really a 3-drop, but sometimes the extra attack buff is nice, and just using it for that can sometimes be good, although the Cruel Taskmaster was a tough thing to pass back. I am growing to love the Darkscale Healer more and more, because it's basically a Chillwind Yeti that costs an extra mana. They have the same stats, and then the health is, sometimes nice, sometimes not, but it's really good. However, these are pretty good cards here. Argent Squire I would take, but not over a Shattered Sun Cleric, and just Shattered Sun Cleric. I don't know, it's just really good. Okay, we have another Raid Leader or Stormwind Knight. Well, here I'll take the Cleave. Here we'll take the removal, and that actually does go nicely with Execute. Here we have a garbage pick, unfortunately. This is the only halfway playable card. I'm probably never going to actually get any value out of this. At the moment, the only thing I have with spell damage is Cleave, actually. So, it's just a 2-5 for 4 mana. Sucks, but it's less sucky than the other ones. Okay, Warsong Commander wins games. That's an easy pick. Another Fiery War Axe. I don't really feel comfortable until I take 2 Fiery War Axes, so thank the heavens. Okay, Frothing Berserker is just an outrageously good card. It used to be a 1-4. I honestly think it should have stayed that way. Maybe it's just because Warriors are a weak class. Blizzard wanted to give them overpowered cards, but Frothing Berserker is nuts. First of all, it's hard to get a 2-4 for 3 mana anywhere in the game. And second of all, the ability is outrageous. I mean, anytime 2 minions bonk heads, this thing gets +1 attack. It just gets so large, so it's a really important card to take. Okay, so here, the Wolf Rider is quasi-removal. Now, I'm actually giving consideration to the Murloc Tidehunter. The reason for that is I have 2 Shattered Sun Clerics, so I'm really going to want things on turn 2. Number 2, I have a Frostwolf Warlord and a Stormwind Champion. Okay, so that's like number 2 and number 3. And number 4, I have a Cult Master. So there's like actually a lot in this deck that makes me want to have multiple creatures. Now, yeah, that sucks against rogues and druids and mages, but you don't see druids and rogues that often in the arena, and mages, yeah, it sucks against them. I'll have to mulligan it. But the Wolf Rider, I mean, it is removal and warriors are lacking in that, but I already have, the Warsong Commander to give creatures charge. I've got quasi-removal with these Shattered Sun Clerics and the Raid Leader buffing things up. I've got the Kor'kron Elite. I've got the Cleave and Execute and 2 Fiery War Axes and a Weaponsmith. So I've got ways to get rid of creatures. I'm actually going to go for the synergy here in the deck. Alright, well, we picked some 5-drops aggressively really early on, and then we sort of slowed down, so we're still just at 5. I think we do need more big game, and we'll take that. Ooh, Arcanite Reaper, I mean, sometimes it's just the best thing in the universe where you're trying to push that damage through or maintain an early lead, but Heroic Strike is just such consistent removal. It's 2 mana, so it's like, for 2 mana, you're dealing 1 less damage than the Arcanite Reaper, so you're saving 3 mana and dealing 1 less damage. Now, of course, the Arcanite Reaper sticks around, but, man, I think it's just so consistent, I'm going to have to take the Heroic Strike. Okay, well, yeah, we'll take another Wrathy Weaponsmith. It's just such a good card. Oh my god, 3rd Fiery War Axe? Well, over this absolute garbage. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Oh, and we got a Dread Corsair. Perfect. I was really sad about passing on the other one to take a Kor'kron Elite. Oh, jeez. Well, we're ending with a trash epic. Now, I have been blown out by Big Game Hunter more than once. I mean, it kills Ventricle Mercenaries and Sea Giants. So who's this sea captain helping? I didn't see any Bloodsail Raider Crusaders. That's the other decent pirate. It's a 2/3 for 2 mana that gets plus attack given equal to your weapon. That would be actually really nice to have in this deck. Never saw those. So all this would be buffing up would be the Dread Corsair. It's a 3/3 for 3. This is a 4/2 for 3, same total stats and a potentially much more explosive impact. I would say a 3/3 is better than a 4/2, but because it has the potential to be a lot more explosive, we're going to take the Big Game Hunter. So what do I think of this draft? Well, I think that had some good aspects and bad aspects. The good aspects are definitely that I got plenty of weapons with the 2 Weaponsmiths, 3 Fiery War Axes. I'm actually happy I passed on the Arcanite Reaper in favor of another Heroic Strike, because we even have decent removal. A Cleave, 2 Heroic Strikes, an Execute. The one problem with Heroic Strike, of course, is that since it's your hero who's attacking, you cannot kill something with your weapon and then kill something else with Heroic Strike, which you actually want to do much more often than you might expect. But it does let you do some really crazy things, like let's say I'm holding a Fiery War Axe, I can play a Heroic Strike at 7 damage and I can like kill a Mogushan Warden or a Gurubashi Berserker. Burkle the Shaman, alright. Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to pass back the Heroic Strike, and the reason is it's again like kind of a non-bow with the Fiery War Axe most of the time. But this is a premier 3-drop, so we'll keep him, hope he lives. This is something I'm very sad to see. I'm not going to be playing it anytime soon. I might just drop it on a turn where I have nothing better to do, just to get it out there. One problem with this guy against Shamans in particular is this 2 health is vulnerable to Forked Lightning, so sometimes when you put him down, it's actually making things worse for you by allowing the Shaman to play Forked Lightning. Alright, there's Cleave. So we have a lot of removal here, which is nice. Cleave against Shamans is maybe a little bit weaker than average because you can start to whiff and hit a lot of his totems if he's, you know, playing totems rather than playing quote-unquote real creatures. Fiery War Axe has kind of the same problem, actually, which is that I might have to just use this to clean up totems, in which case I'm going down on one of my best cards, and all I'm doing is countering his hero ability. But keep in mind, this is 2 mana, and I can kill 2 totems with it, which is 4 mana. So it's a tempo advantage, even if it's not a card advantage. In any case, it looks like he's got the coin, so he's going to be playing a 2-drop. Ah, it's a Stormforged Axe. Okay. I see what you did there, buddy. I see what you did there. Okay, so here are the pros and cons to my 2 options. I could play Fiery War Axe and just have it ready to go. The problem is if he plays an Acidic Ooze, I'd probably lose the game. Granted, I didn't even see any Acidic Oozes in my draft. I mean, there's no guarantee that he did either, and even if he did, there's no guarantee that he drew them. But it also gives away that I have this axe, so he might be less inclined to play some valuable creatures, and he might do something else, like make a totem, which he's totally happy doing that. If I do have this axe, though, and he plays a totem, say, I can play the Frothing Berserker, kill the totem, and this is a 3/4 for 3 mana, which is really great, and it's only going to get bigger. So that's kind of nifty. That's definitely kind of a nifty thing. If I armor up here, then and my opponent plays a 2-mana creature, then I'm going to want to play the Fiery War Axe to kill it, and then the Frothing Berserker will have to be delayed. So I'm going to do this. I think that the risk of this going badly is small. I think if he doesn't play good creatures here, which actually he can't because of the overload. Right, he used the coin to put this axe out. Overloading, he can't even make a totem here. So yeah, this axe is ready to go, and then I can play Frothing Berserker. You know what? I should have commented on this. I don't actually like coining out a Stormforged Axe. Number 1, it gives away that you have it. Number 2, you waste your coin. And number 3, I mean, you're spending your second turn to do nothing. So really, it would have been exactly equivalent just to pass on turn 1 and then just play this on turn 2. Like I mean, the only difference is that now he's not overloaded on turn 3. So I guess if he had a 3-drop that he really wanted to play, you know, that would explain it. My opponent made another mistake. He should have flipped the totem first before Earthshocking to see if he could get spell damage. He didn't, but I mean, he should have. Wow, I think this might be a not very good opponent. Okay, so I don't want to play this where it'll just die to my opponent's Stormforged Axe. I'm sad that he got the 1 totem out of 4 that will cause damage to my Frothing Berserker. Notice if this guy goes down to 2 health, the Stormforged Axe will kill it. So I will actually do this. Swing. And I'm not going to play this guy just to have him die. We're just going to armor up here. And be sad about the fact that, well, I mean, this is what we did. We drafted this Tiger. I think I had something cheaper I could have taken in place of the Tiger. It might have been a 2-toughness creature, but, I mean, if it wasn't, I could have played it instead. And I basically just gave my opponent back the initiative. I had a huge initiative advantage there where all he did was totem up and nothing else, and I gave it back to him. All right, there's a healing totem that's not super relevant here. He's going to attack my creature with the axe. Well, I'll wait and see if he has anything. Nope, okay. I'll use my creature to clear out the totem, so I'm keeping this Fiery War Axe around. Now, I did draw a second one, so I would consider using this kind of, you know, quote-unquote frivolously, and just so I can get the second one out, but there's actually a non-zero chance I'll be able to play this next turn. If he plays a totem, oh no, he's gonna kill my Berserker, right? So if he plays a totem, there will be, and then another creature, there will be 3 on the board. This will cost 7 mana. Yeah, I'll be 1 turn away from being able to play this. Unless, of course, he plays like a Razorfen Hunter or something, then I could actually play this out, which would be really funny. Alright, well, he's thinking about stuff. This Tiger is really nice. It handles a lot of things, even a lot of 5-drops. Pretty well. Earth Elemental, well, that's a pretty good card. Oh my god, I actually have the Big Game Hunter. Oh my god, I can't believe I actually have this. Alright, well, I've been blown out before, and now I'm going to blow out my opponent. So, yeah, let's go ahead and swing with the Tiger. I'm also actually going to swing with the Fiery War Axe. If he had an Ooze, he clearly would have played it. And I'm going to replay the Fiery War Axe. I think it's much more valuable for me to replay the Fiery War Axe than it is for me to... So basically, it's more valuable for me to play the Fiery War Axe and risk him top-decking an Ooze than it is for me just to armor up. Because next turn I want all my mana. I want all my mana next turn. Ah, he's going to kill something. Nuts. He's going to kill my Tiger. So this is not quite playable just yet. Lightning Bolt. Ah, he's going to clear everything out. Well, this is actually sad. This Frostwolf Warlord is looking really unimpressive now. Oh, no. I drew the wrong card. Ugh. Well, here's what I'm going to do, though. I mean, this is kind of like Burn. I've got like 7 damage in my back pocket. He's down to actually 4 health here. I think... Oh, man, this is tricky. Because if this backfires, it backfires real bad. But... I think I'm going to hang on to the Owl in case of a taunt. I'm just going to play a Frostwolf Warlord. And I'm going to swing at him with my axe. So I am threatening to kill him next turn. I mean, if this guy can attack, the Heroic Strike will finish off my opponent. If he plays a taunt in the way, the Silence will get rid of the taunt. So he would need to kill this creature. Well, he'd just need to kill this creature, basically. Because if he kills it, I can only deal 7 damage to him. And I wouldn't throw a Heroic Strike away like that. Feral Spirit. Aha. Well... That'll do, actually, because Cleave doesn't quite kill these things. And it's actually unplayable now. I don't want to cleave that and have it get enraged. Shattered Sun Cleric. Well, let's take a look at the situation here. So, I think I definitely want to just play this. Can I play the Shattered Sun Cleric? Yes, I can, so you have to be very careful. Even though it looks like I can't, when the Shattered Sun Cleric drops, it makes this thing cost 5. So we're going to do this. And okay, so we're going to kill one of them, and we're going to then kill the other. So I'm again threatening to win here. By the way, in place of the Shattered Sun Cleric, and like in place of the Giant, I could have played the Owl, but notice I couldn't have actually pushed any damage through because I would have had to, well, I could have hit one, I could have owled one, I could have axed the other, and then I could have swung for like 5 at my opponent. Maybe that actually would have made a lot of sense. Then he'd be at 3 health. It'd be much more danger then. Yeah, perhaps I should have done that instead of what I did. But anyway, because like if he had like a Hex and a Lightning Storm or something, he could have potentially cleared out my board, and then he'd be at 8 health. Totemic Might. Well, that is not a very good card. All right, so I think this opponent is just a newer player. He's playing with some pretty bad cards. Okay, so let's just go ahead. I drew the Kor'kron Elite, but it's not even necessary. We're just going to silence that, and we're going to swing for 8. Well, it's a good thing that I had an 8/8 rather than a shield block. Although, actually, well, let's see. The Sea Giant could have been like, what, a shield bash? I only had 2 armor last turn. Druid or Hunter, okay. I only had 2 armor last turn, so it wouldn't have been that helpful there. Yeah, I think the Sea Giant was better that game, but it honestly didn't really matter that much. The really key decision here was that I took the Big Game Hunter over the 3/3 Pirate buffer, because that allowed me to kill this Earth Elemental. Now, I could have actually still won the game with the Earth Elemental, because I had a Fiery War Axe and a Tiger. I could have traded those in for the Earth Elemental, but it made the victory a lot easier when, of course, I could kill up his 7/8 creature that was overloading him for 3 mana next turn. Anachrom the Mage. Well, I'm never that happy to see mages, but especially in this deck because, well, this deck actually has a lot of big creatures like the Stranglethorn Tiger that survive stuff. But I do have those that 2/1 Murloc that spawns another Murloc, and that's just a really bad card pretty much at all times in this match. The only time that would ever be a good card is if I have like 7 mana, the 2/1 Murloc, and a Frostwolf Warlord in my hand. I play the 2/1 Murloc and then immediately the Frostwolf Warlord. Oh, well, it's actually a really good drop here, unfortunately. For mages, it's nice because you can pop the Divine Shield and then use the hero ability to deal extra damage. And on top of that, it's very resistant against weapons because I have to, like, hit it twice with a weapon in order to finish it off. So we'll see what my opponent has here. I drew a Frothing Berserker and I will play it, although its odds of surviving are kind of small. This has opened up another option. I could actually cleave these two things. Is that worth it? Right now, this thing will just die. The Loot Hoarder plus the Argent Squire plus Hero ability will kill off the Frothing Berserker, and it will actually be card advantage for my opponent because the Loot Hoarder replaces itself with a card and the Argent Squire's shield just gets popped. I think I'm going to do it, though. I mean, the alternative to cleave... man, if the Loot Hoarder replaces itself, the Divine Shield just pops. Well, hang on. Then I can play this next turn. And then use the Axe to finish off the Argent Squire. The thing about the Frothing Berserker is if my opponent wants to kill it, she's committed to using 2/3 of her mana. So she's had a really good curve so far. She had a 1-drop and a 2-drop. In case she has a 3-drop to follow up, I think Cleave's just a bit slow. Let's go ahead and clear out one of her creatures and the Divine Shield off of this thing in order to keep up the pace in the game.
One shot.
Elven Archer. Haha. Well, this is a very, very chumpy deck by my opponent here. Well, the only thing that's playable is the Cobra. I think I'm just going to cleave. I hope I hit the Mana Wraith. And I do. And we're going to armor up. It's not exactly card advantage, because my opponent didn't lose a single card, killing my Frothing Berserker. The Loot Hoarder replaced itself, the Elven Archer just fired an arrow, and then the Argent Squire just popped a Divine Shield. So it was really good for my opponent what she did. I'm going to play, I think, the Spiteful Smith. Oh, she still has the coin. Wow, this opponent has a really good draw. Oh, geez, that's not good. Well, if there was any way for me to kill this, I would. But I just can't at the moment. So I'm going to play the Spiteful Smith. I'm threatening to kill it. This is where it really sucks that I'm up against a mage. This is such a big creature, and mages have 2 ways of killing it. I don't know if any other class in the game has 2 different ways at the common basic level to deal with this card. There's one of them. Polymorph was the other, and of course she's drawing a card for this. Oh my god, this is so terrible. I guess I could have played the Tiger and threatened to kill it that way, but I thought maybe if I could get it enraged, you know, this Axe would be better. Okay, well, it's actually a very awkward thing. I can only play any one of these cards, so I might as well play the most expensive one, which is this. Try to get rid of this Auctioneer before it lets my opponent totally run away with the game. So yeah, I mean, Fireball and Polymorph both take out a 6 toughness creature for mages at the common, like, basic level. Rogues have Assassinate, but that's it. I guess Assassinate and Sap, but that doesn't really count. Druids don't have anything, actually, for 6 toughness. Yep, not a single thing. Shamans can Hex, but that's it. Arcane Explosion. Interesting. So she's drawing... it makes sense. So she's drawing a card with it, so might as well. And a Frostbolt on me, so that stops me from attacking next turn, which is actually relevant. And she draws another card. God damn it. Oh, this is so terrible. Okay, well, what I can do here is I can kill off this Auctioneer, but notice my opponent did the Arcane Explosion. It was very clever because it actually makes it so that this thing will die to the Auctioneer. And I can't let the Auctioneer live any longer. So we're going to go ahead and play a Sea Giant. We're going to get rid of that. And I'm at 18 health, which is a bit scary because she drew so many cards off the Auctioneer, she could very well burn me out. I mean, all she needs is a Fireball and a Pyroblast, pretty much. Granted, I can gain 2 armor a turn, so that is nice. Okay, so she plays a Twilight Drake, which is good. My Giant will take care of that problem. No problem. She's going to start to work down my Giant. Man, that's so crazy that mages can just work down a creature like that. And she's actually going to work it down some more. Okay, well, I'm so low on life, I do need to preserve the health here. Do I play the Stormwind Champion that I just drew, or do I populate the board with more creatures? Well, there's an obvious drawback to populating the board with more creatures, which is that then everything will die to Flame Strike. But this guy, for all his crappiness, does survive Flame Strike. The problem is, I want to play him and the Frostwolf Warlord, and I can't. The only thing I can play with the Frostwolf Warlord is a Cobra or a Raid Leader. Alright, well, let's do it. I'm going to do the Cobra and the Frostwolf Warlord, I think. I'm going to kill off the Twilight Drake because I really can't afford to be taking damage, especially if I'm not armoring up on my turn. The one nice thing about Flame Strike, it will be her whole turn, and this guy will survive, so I'll actually get to put some damage on the field, which is nice. So she might not want to Flame Strike, even if she has it, but if she doesn't Flame Strike here, well, then the Cobra will kill off anything she does play. So she's probably going to want a Cone of Cold if she's not Flame Striking. She has the Flame Strike, fair enough. Well, so now my opponent's going to have 7 cards when she draws, and I've got this many. Alright, well, the question is, does she have another Flame Strike? That is the question. Because it would be really darn good if she did. I can play this and nothing else. That seems weak. I could actually just play this. Ah, wait, I could do this. He now costs just 2 mana, which makes no real difference. Alright, actually, I'm gonna play him though. We'll play him and armor up. I am going to just go ahead and attack my opponent. I don't see myself using my weapon against things anytime soon. And I still have 1 swing of the weapon remaining. So a Flame Strike again would kill everything off. But I mean, it's just really difficult to play around Flame Strike. Like you can play around 1 Flame Strike. It's playing around like multiple Flame Strikes is hard. Ooh, that's a good sign. So polymorphing that wasn't that impressive. Oozing this is also not that impressive. And that card's not that impressive. Ah, my opponent seems to have a very chumpy deck and is now actually paying for it. I'm sad my sheep died because I could have played Raid Leader and then run it into the Ooze and kill it off. Well, here I think what we're going to do is actually, I'm going to play a Cult Master, for sure. I wish I could play it and the Stormwind Champion, but I can't. So I'll play the Ancient, wait no, here's how I want to do it. I want to play the Cult Master like this, then the Ancient Mage over here, and then I'm going to do that. Oh, I should have drawn cards first. Ah, shoot. Execute. Well, it doesn't make any difference, thankfully. We'll swing for 3 damage. So the reason I did this is I didn't want to put the Ancient Mage first, because I actually want to keep the spell damage in the unlikely event that I draw a Cleave. I have already used Cleave this game. Well, anyway, it's the proper play, so even though it doesn't matter in this particular game, I think it's worth doing. Wow. Onyxia. Well, it's a pretty good card. It's a pretty darn good card as far as cards go. Luckily, she doesn't have enough mana to Hero Blade. She has her own Stormwind Giant. You know what? I've got that epic Giant Killer. Rarely has that ever been so good, huh? Okay, well, let's think. So I can kill Onyxia right now, but you know what? Honestly, I think at this point, my best chance might be to try to race. Does she have enough damage to kill me? She's got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20... Oh, boy. 21, and I've only got 22 health. Oh, God. Hoping a mage doesn't have any direct damage is a pretty far hope. Well, let's think for a moment. Let's think. So if I just play the Stormwind Champion and the Raid Leader, what do we got here? We got 3, 5, 9 damage. 9 plus 6 is 15, so it's not quite enough to win. Oh, man, it's just not quite enough. I don't think I can do it, because basically she can run one of the Whelps into the Dread Corsair, and then, after that, she can, I mean, she's got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 damage, and if I'm playing these 2 guys, I'm not armoring up, she only needs 1 more point of damage to be able to win. I think that's too close. So I do have this execute, so what we're going to do is, okay, well, we'll do this. Get rid of her 8/8 and draw a card in the process. I kind of wish I had 2 executes. Oh my god, Heroic Strike would let me win, but I don't have enough mana. Damn it. Okay, so we're going to kill this. Alright, I do need to armor up. And so we'll play a Stormwind Champion. And swing, swing, and pass turn. Okay, so now I'm at 24 health. She can deal 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage. Pyroblast does win her the game. But she may need to deal with my stuff. I'm actually going to kill my Stormwind Champion. Interesting choice, letting me draw a card off of that. I wouldn't have done that, personally. I would have killed the Cult Master first, even if it meant giving up an extra imp. Boulder Fist Ogre, okay. Raging Worgen, Oh my god, I think I'm going to be 1 damage short of winning this turn. I've got 2, 3, 6, 10, 11 damage. Do I have enough mana for that? Oh my god, I do. Oh my god. I have just enough mana for all of this. Oh my goodness. Well, I often complain I cannot catch a break, but I definitely caught a break there. That heroic strike was a little bit epic. Oh my goodness. Well, that was a great game. And I'm probably just saying that because I won it. If I had lost it, I would have said that that game was a load of baloney nuts. But yeah, I think I misplayed that turn. But when I played Stormwind Champion, yeah, I felt like I could have done a little bit more damage somehow. But my opponent also made a misplay. She actually attacked my Stormwind Champion with her Giant, which let me draw a card. If she hadn't done that, I wouldn't have drawn the whatever. Basically, I drew Heroic Strike and a Shattered Sun Cleric. I needed both of those to score enough damage to win, and my opponent gave them to me. Because if she hadn't let me draw a card off the Cult Master, I wouldn't have seen one of them, and then I would have had to, you know, take another extra turn to win. Okay, well that was a good start to this arena, quite breathtaking. If you enjoyed it, do please like and or subscribe, and if you want to see how it ends, well then stay tuned because the rest of the games are going to be coming up soon. I'll see you then.